Wednesday welcome into lcpioneers.com live, presented by PioStream, as we are with you a total of 4 days a week, Tuesday through Friday, on the air, Facebook Live. You can find us easily by typing in lcpioneers.com/live. Bookmark that on Facebook Live. You can also find all of our past shows on lcpioneers.com. Click on the fan zone and look up lcpioneers.com live. You can also find us youtube.com/lcpios. Hi there, I'm Ryan Goff. I'm the play-by-play voice and director of athletic communications for Lewis and Clark, the Pioneers out of Portland, Oregon, and a member of the 9-team Northwest Conference, competing with other institutions from throughout Northwest Oregon and the state of Washington, and as a member of NCAA Division III, over 430 institutions nationwide, chance for our student athletes to compete on a national level in over 19 intercollegiate sports. Specifically, our teams having a chance to compete on the national stage. As I mentioned, our campus located just 6 miles southwest of downtown Portland. We're excited to keep you connected with student athletes, coaches, different members from throughout the Lewis and Clark College community, and our alumni base too, as we started the show the last day of March and have continued running it for over 35 weeks. We appreciate you joining us on lcpioneers.com live. If you have any questions or comments for the show, we invite you to get in touch with us. You can do so in our Facebook Live comments. You can always say hi to our guest or ask a question. That's an option that's available to you as well. You can also email us with guest suggestions anytime, sports@lclark.edu. Our guest in a few minutes will be Eryk Schaftlein. We'll talk to the offensive lineman from Lodi, California, senior for Pioneers football, and a chance to get a glimpse into what the summer was like getting prepared for a fall that ended up having modified training because of the pandemic still underway. And we do invite you to go to our website, lcpioneers.com/COVID, for any updates, as we'll be posting anything pertinent to athletics on that site, whether it's from the NCAA Northwest Conference, also a link to the Lewis and Clark College COVID-19 website as well. So Eryk, in a few moments, we invite you to get in touch with the show, as I mentioned, in the comments. You can always follow us too on both Instagram and Twitter. Our handle on both of those platforms, LC Pioneers. And we continue to update our Pioneers of the Week. You can see our featured student athletes on our webpage. Much like finding the past episodes of this show, you can go to the fan zone and click on Pioneers of the Week and see a different member of a men's team and women's team profiled and kind of keeping up to date on what's going on without competition, as the Northwest Conference has kept everything down until at least January 1st, 2021 in terms of competition for fall and early winter. On our website too, we are inviting you to see some of our past shows, as I mentioned, but also take a virtual visit. There's a schedule a virtual visit part of the rotator that's on that front page, and that goes to our admissions page, where you can both request a virtual visit and a virtual interview, plus see a really neat campus tour visit. You can look through the entire video. That's available at lcpioneers.com right on the front page. And last but not least, our YouTube page updated with all of our past lcpioneers.com live episodes, and most recent to latest, all the way back to March 31st, when we talked to Lewis and Clark cross country head coach Matt Burrow. So with that said, let's bring in our guest for today, a senior for Lewis and Clark football. We welcome Eryk Schaftlein to the show. Eryk, appreciate taking time to join us on this Wednesday and give us a glimpse into what has been, what I assume, a wacky fall. Let's start with kind of the summer into fall practice. How has it been for you trying to get in shape, trying to keep yourself going without football games over the fall?
Personally for me, it was a lot of I had to really watch what I was eating, because I wasn't able to work out, with the same intensity that I was when I was here at school. And when I'm back home, I don't have a lot of free weights. I don't have a lot of weights. So it takes a lot of Coach Ange's lifts and a lot of just extra work, a lot of ab work, a lot of just, over the top. Like, whatever you can think of, that's a workout, you do. If you wake up in the morning and you feel you can do some sit-ups, do them. Like, there's always something you can do, because you're lacking. So,
Were you able to stay connected with teammates and such? Were you able to exercise with any of them over the summertime to try to mimic as normal of a summertime as possible?
Me and Mercury, we had a I think a daily or a weekly meeting. I think it was on Wednesdays with the rest of the O line. Keeping us up to date, see what's going on, try and get to know the freshmen that we weren't going to see until, late fall. Uh, so that was our best thing. We would FaceTime, talk. We had a leadership group that we'd, go on Zoom, talk. Uh, uh, there was a lot of Zoom calls, uh, but that was really all we could do. I don't really live near anyone on the team, so going to see him really wasn't an option anyway. But it was a lot of virtual connecting, which probably the same for everyone else. But yeah.
And we've had guests on from a lot of our different sports teams asking about what the fall has looked like for their sport. And I know that some of those Zoom meetings even continued once you were all back on campus just to keep everyone socially distanced with as big of a roster as you have. But give us an idea when you're on the field in the fall, what was practice like for the football team this year?
Oh, it felt like spring football for us. We didn't really get a spring football, and I know a lot of other sports they didn't really get to do anything in spring if they were a spring sport. But yeah, it felt like spring football, except with COVID regulations. I'm used to having pads on in the fall, hitting, making contact, and we had to stay 6 feet apart with our masks on. There was a lot of running, conditioning, a lot of skill work, technical work. Because, at my position, making contact is something you do every play. So the fact that we couldn't do that when we were practicing, it's a lot on the mental game and the technical game that we had to work on. And it was really helpful actually. I'm definitely not mad that it happened. Uh, you know what? It's normal right now, so you know what? We're gonna work through it. So.
Eryk Schaftlein, our guest on lcpioneers.com live, senior for Lewis and Clark football. And this coaching staff, I imagine, also had to adjust to try to make everything work over the course of the fall. Give us a glimpse inside what it's like to compete for your coaching staff and give me some of the highlights that you've had over your 4 years.
Yeah. Well, first off, I know, changing their whole coaching scheme for COVID, that was probably a struggle. And I mean, it took a lot of time. I mean, even though we had a lot of time, but you coach how you teach, and you teach different ways. And when you have to switch from in person and you're teaching like I got to put my hand here and here. Well, we can't do that when there's COVID. So you got to be more of a visualization teacher. Like it's really complicated for O line, but it's I thank them for how much work they put in because I could really tell that they were excited to show us what they had. And but yeah, my freshman and sophomore year, I had Coach Parker, who now is the head coach at Willamette, as my O line coach and offensive coordinator. He was one of the reasons I came to LC, and that was a great relationship. I learned a lot. And my junior and now senior year, we have Coach Renato Felina, and he's doing great. He's really coming to the role. And with any new coach, it takes a minute to gain trust and a mutual respect of ways. And it happened pretty quick. And I'm proud of the way he coaches us, and I love learning from him.
I think the O-line position is interesting because you watch on TV an NFL or televised college football game, or you come out to Griswold Stadium on Saturdays and you watch your team play, and your eye follows the ball, and a lot of times that doesn't involve watching the offensive lineman. So I think in a way it's easy to take y'all for granted. Give us an idea of what it's like. Describe what it's like to play the position of offensive lineman.
There's a lot of different sayings about O-line. They're the smartest guys on the field. They're, we take the most beatings, but we get the least glory, but we it's all on our backs. There's a lot of sayings and stuff, but I love being an O lineman because I mean there's such a brotherhood because you have to rely 100% on the guy next to you. Because if you don't, your quarterback's going to get hurt or your running back's going to get hurt. Like there's a lot riding on you, so it's pressure, but you learn to love the pressure at the same time. Like it's kind of just learning to love the game. It To me, it really epitomizes football. It's a team position. I mean, you can play catch, a quarterback and a receiver, uh, but an O lineman, you can be by yourself. I mean, like it's really, I don't know. It takes a lot to be able to you know take the kind of beating that your body gets. There's a lot of recovery in it. You know, it's not actually a natural position. You're what I've always been told is you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and O line's an uncomfortable position until you make it comfortable, and then it becomes a whole new game for you. So
You did a great job too, giving us some insight on what the practices were like over the course of the fall and how the coaches had to adapt. I'm curious what it was like for first year or even second year teammates too, knowing all of the information that you have to know at that position. Share with us what it was like to kind of mentor some of those first and even second year offensive linemen.
um, I gotta say it was nice in a way because we could really take it slow. Because I mean, we didn't have game in 5 days. We didn't have a game in 6 days. Like we just we could take our time, really focus on really minute aspects of the game, and I think it's made them 12 times better. I mean, it's like a freshman coming in the spring and just getting that whole time of where we're just being technical and really diving down on the points versus when you come in the fall and it's there, it's we're rolling, we're moving because we got games in a month. So it was it was really, I almost envy them a little bit because it slows the game down a lot. They get that time to really adjust to the playbook, the people around them. But where it lacks is we don't get to play other teams. They don't get to see that the difference in speed between high school and college. When I first saw that, it was amazement to me. Like it was like this game moves so fast on this level. I thought I was the king in high school. Like I'm the senior, blah 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 blah. And then I get to college, and it's like, wow, this is what football is about. Levels. But yeah, they worked hard, and I'm so proud of them. They definitely pushed and gave their all.
You're watching lcpioneers.com live, presented by PioStream. We're on with you Tuesday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time on Facebook Live. Bookmark lcpioneers.com/live. And you can also find us on YouTube with all of our past shows, youtube.com/lcpios. Eryk Schaftlein is our guest, senior for Lewis and Clark football. You're from Lodi, California originally. Give us an idea what it was like to choose Lewis and Clark as your destination for college.
Uh, yeah, I'm from Lodi. I went to school in Stockton, and I went to a school that's actually no longer a school. It was called Brookside Christian. Really small school, like D7, which is like the lowest division in high school in Cali. Um, so I think there was only two seniors that year. So I didn't have, a whole bunch of options coming out of high school to play football in college. Most of my options were going to be probably walk-ons, or you know, I had a couple D3 offers, uh, a D1 double A, or however that is, and then I think a D2 offer. And I visited a couple schools, uh, and they were great. Don't get me wrong, they were great. But when I visited LC, it was it just felt right. It felt good. I met some of the seniors. Well, not some of the seniors. I met some of then they were sophomores. I met Devin Franklin, Kalai Wong, and those would be some of my best friends for life. And it was like I said, it just felt right. It felt family. Uh, felt like they wanted me to be here. And the campus is beautiful, and just it drew me in. Uh, I, it's a little hard to explain in words. It was really a feeling thing because to education here is amazing. I mean, there are a lot of schools with great education too. Uh, you know, the the people are nice. There are a lot of schools with good, nice people too. But there was something different about LC that just really drew me in.
And you end up declaring as a rhetoric and media studies major. Describe that area of study and whether, there's been a moment, a professor or a class, share a story that's really stood out from that track.
Um, yeah, coming in, I knew I wanted to be a rhetoric and media studies major, so that helped me a lot. I finished my major in my junior year, second semester. Um, did my capstone and everything because I just, flew through it. But um, I gotta say, my sophomore year, I had one of the toughest times with this major, with rhetoric and media studies, and it was because I didn't understand the number system of how classes worked. Um, Sophomore year, first semester, I took a 300 level class, and I didn't understand that like it doesn't equate to 300 doesn't equate to being a junior or third year or anything like that, but it's a little more mature class. And so, the first day I'm in there, I don't recognize anyone. Everyone's like a junior or senior, and I'm just looking around like, okay. And I struggled in that class. I really did. Uh, until like 2/3 semester done, and I talked to my professor, Melanie Conan, one of my favorite professors at LC all time, and she really helped me out. She talked me through it, uh, and I think I've taken like 4 classes with her. I've taken my capstone with her. Did my thesis. She's she's one of my favorite professors because she's really into it. She's really helped me, and she loves what she does. And I feed off that interest, that excitement that she has for her, subject.
So your senior year, fall semester, give us an idea of where you want to go, maybe post-graduation areas that you're interested in pursuing.
So I've most of my life I've wanted to go into television, film, or radio, and that hasn't really changed at all. It's just more detailed now. I'd really love to go into radio, uh, whether that be a radio personality or just someone behind the scenes. I mean, I love to do television. Work on the music on television shows, work on music on films, on movies, or screenwriting. I like writing. I like coming up with stories, and I'd love to screenwrite for a television show. So that's what I'm going to be looking into getting into. So
Well, spring semester, maybe there's a chance that you can fill in for me and do this show. We've had a couple of student athletes guest hosts. Would love to have you do the same. And certainly if I can help you out in any way, let me know. I'll certainly connect you to those that I know in that world. Eryk Schaftlein, thanks so much for taking the time on your Wednesday to join us on the show, and look forward to finishing out the fall semester strong.
Thank you. Roll Piles.
That's Eryk Schaftlein joining us on lcpioneers.com live. That was fun and well thought out. The idea of all our teams having to figure out how to have practice in the fall, and especially contact sports where contact is prohibited, that's got to be such a big challenge. And so to hear the offensive line, which as he described is the one position where you're used to making sure that there's contact every single play, It's a whole different animal. And then, of course, his career aspirations with the rhetoric and media studies major. I always like hearing those stories. That's the major, certainly with what I'm doing as a broadcaster, resonates with me quite a bit. And so I always like to hear what they're up to as well. And that was a lot of fun with Margot yesterday, environmental studies, and Eryk today with rhetoric and media studies, two majors that I'm always intrigued by, because I think our student athletes do a lot of cool stuff post-graduation with both of those degrees. Tomorrow we will have head coach James Yen of our golf program join us, a second appearance for Coach Yen on the show, and he's really great, someone who has a ton of enthusiasm, really excited about not only his sport, but certainly his student athletes and the specific things that they're accomplishing within the golf program and within their time at Lewis and Clark. It's always a fun conversation. I get super inspired whenever we have the chance to talk to Coach Yen on the show, so I'm super excited to have him on tomorrow's program. And we're still anticipating a live show on Friday, although I haven't finalized all of the details. Be sure to go to lcpioneers.com/live, which takes you right to our Facebook page, and we'll have our episode thumbnail, our preview there. As soon as we have it finalized, we'll tell you about it more tomorrow once we do as well. If not, we'll have a re-air of one of our past shows. You can find all of our past shows at lcpioneers.com. Click on the fan zone and lcpioneers.com live. I'm Ryan Goff. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us on this Wednesday. Big thanks again to Eryk Schaftlein as well for joining us on the show. We will see you again tomorrow for another episode of lcpioneers.com live, presented by PioStream. Until then, goodbye everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
I'm Casey Jones, and I teach a range of classes: general chemistry, organic chemistry, and also some advanced classes. And I have a research lab that currently I have 4 students working with me as part of the Rogers program. The summer experience is a way to get really deeply involved in the science that is here and be able to start to define what might be what you want to do next. So the brown bag gives our students a chance to explain their research and really show the context and the application of what they're doing to a very broad range of students and faculty.
It's interesting to be able to communicate to other scientists what your work is, and it forces you to learn how to talk about your subject so that not only experts in your field can understand it, but others can understand it as well, which I just believe is a good life skill.
To talk about your research in a way that anybody can understand it really is a valuable experience, and it's something that you don't get a lot of practice for except in these contexts. Because oftentimes you're giving a presentation to a classroom filled with people who know basically the same things that you do, but in a brown bag, you have to be able to explain and provide motivation for everything that you're working on and why it's important and why it's relevant to be studying.
Hi, I'm Nick Lombardi. Something I've learned at Winterim this year is how to communicate a vision.
My biggest takeaway from Winterim is probably the networking. Getting to talk to everybody, connect with people for the future is one of the most valuable things, and I did Winterim last year, came back for more this year.
I think a way in which my liberal arts education has really helped me and my group formulate our ideas is that concept of critical thinking and having many different backgrounds. Me being an econ major and my 2 group mates being chemistry majors, we really get that well-rounded background, well-rounded ideas.
I think overall it's absolutely worth doing. You find yourself not only being more prepared for, say, this next semester, on top of being more prepared for life in general.